The air inside the cathedral was thick with anticipation. As the heavy wooden doors creaked open, all eyes turned to the bride. Anna stepped into the aisle, clutching her bouquet, her lips trembling as she held back tears. Not tears of fear, but of overwhelming joy. The organ swelled, and she met David's eyes. He looked stunned, breathless, his love etched into every line on his face. Anna's father whispered, "You've never looked more like your mother," and her breath hitched. She hadn't expected to cry. Not now, not this soon. But as she moved forward, the moment swallowed her. Then, through the silence, a sharp laugh echoed from the second row. It wasn't just any laugh. It was sharp, cruel, and instantly familiar. Anna's cousin Mia, dressed in a shimmering burgundy dress, smirked and covered her mouth, but her shoulders shook with laughter. Anna's heart cracked. She faltered mid-step. 100 eyes flicked from the bride to the source of the disruption. The music didn't pause, but something inside Anna did. Rage, shame, and disbelief surged all at once. This wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate. Mia wasn't amused, she was mocking her. And suddenly, the aisle felt like a trap. Mia had always found ways to dim Anna's light. At every family gathering, she'd make cutting remarks wrapped in sarcasm. "You're crying already," she once said at Anna's graduation, rolling her eyes. Their mothers were sisters, but their bond had fractured early. Childhood had been a contest. Who wore the prettier dress, who got more attention. But Anna had never fought back. She avoided confrontation, choosing peace over pride. Yet today wasn't about family politics or childhood rivalry. Today was sacred. She thought Mia might behave, just for a day. Instead, Mia's laughter cut through the church like a blade. Guests were whispering now. Anna's aunt, Mia's mother, leaned over with a whispered, "Stop it," but Mia just smirked. Anna felt heat rising in her chest, confusion spiraling. Was she being oversensitive? Was this laugh as cruel as it felt? But deep down she knew. She'd seen that laugh before. It was always a warning. The calm before the chaos. The priest's voice trembled slightly as he resumed the ceremony, clearly unsettled. Anna stepped beside David, her hands cold despite the summer air. David leaned in, whispering, "Ignore her. Look at me." His voice was calm, but his jaw was clenched. Anna's breathing slowed. She nodded, forcing a small smile, trying to return to the moment. But the atmosphere had shifted. The once sacred space now felt contaminated. Her bridesmaids exchanged glances, unsure whether to step in. Mia had always played this game, provoke and pretend innocence. But Anna wasn't a child anymore. She wouldn't let her moment be hijacked. As the priest invited them to share their vows, Anna glanced again at Mia. Another smirk. That was it. Rage boiled over her calm. She turned back to the priest, lips trembling. Not from love this time, but fury. In every fairy tale Anna had dreamt of, her wedding was untouchable, a sacred beginning. But Mia's laugh had desecrated it. Her childhood memories played like a flickering film reel in her mind. All the moments Mia turned joy into mockery. The broken doll, the ruined birthday cake, the stolen attention. And now, the ultimate moment, her wedding vows, was becoming another Mia anecdote. But this time, something inside Anna shifted. She wasn't the girl who stayed silent. She'd waited her whole life to be here. And she wouldn't let it be ruined. She looked at David, then turned back to the guests. Her voice was calm, controlled. "Can someone escort Mia out?" The church froze. Mia's face dropped. Guests gasped. It wasn't just unexpected. It was unheard of. But Anna didn't flinch. She had reclaimed her moment. The silence felt like thunder. For a full 5 seconds, no one moved. Then, Anna's older brother, seated at the edge, rose. He didn't ask questions. He simply walked down the aisle, nodding once to Anna. Mia stood frozen, disbelief etched on her face. "You're kicking me out," she hissed, half laughing. "During your vows?" Anna nodded. Yes. Her voice didn't shake. Her hands didn't tremble. For the first time, Mia didn't have a comeback. She rose slowly, eyes darting, trying to find allies, but the room remained still. As she walked out, heels clicking against marble, Anna felt the tension release. She turned back to David. He smiled. Not just with his lips, but with his entire being. And in that moment, the ceremony truly began. As the church doors closed behind Mia, the silence transformed into a wave of unspoken support. The tension melted. Anna felt something she hadn't in years: control. The priest, slightly shaken but composed, resumed the ceremony. David reached for her hand. His palm was warm, steady, grounding her. Anna's voice trembled slightly as she began her vows, but her words rang clear. "I stand here because love taught me courage," she said. Guests leaned forward, drawn back into the gravity of the moment. Her voice grew stronger with each sentence. She spoke of patience, storms weathered, and the sacredness of choosing someone again and again. David's eyes never left hers. The chaos faded. All that remained was love, defiant and raw. When David responded, his voice cracked, not from fear, but emotion. "You are my calm, my fire, my reason." There were no dry eyes now, only the quiet strength of two people reclaiming their story. Outside, the sunlight was harsh compared to the sacred calm within. Mia stood near the church steps, arms folded, lips pursed in disbelief. Her phone was out, fingers flying across the screen. "Can you believe her?" she texted someone. A few distant relatives walked by, avoiding eye contact. Her mother joined her moments later, face flushed with embarrassment. "You went too far," she muttered. Mia scoffed. "She's overreacting." But her voice lacked conviction. Deep down, she hadn't expected to be removed. She had always pushed boundaries, but this time, Anna had pushed back. Her smirk wavered. The outside world suddenly felt colder. She glanced back toward the church doors, but they didn't open for her. She had made herself the outsider, and for once, no one followed. Her laughter had echoed, but now it was silence that answered. Inside, the ceremony came to a close. Applause filled the air as Anna and David kissed, sealing their vows. As they turned to face their guests, hands intertwined, smiles returned to the room. Anna exhaled deeply, her shoulders finally dropping. The recessional music began, a soft classical piece echoing through the arches. Flower petals floated in the air, catching sunlight like tiny blessings. Bridesmaids, groomsmen, and family followed behind. Anna's mother stepped forward, dabbing her tears, pride shining in her eyes. She mouthed, "I'm so proud of you." Anna nodded, her heart full. This wasn't just a wedding, it was a reclaiming. A declaration. Her smile wasn't just bridal joy. It was triumph. Not against Mia, but for herself. She had stepped into her moment and refused to shrink. And now, she was stepping into a future that no longer required her silence. In the bridal suite, moments later, Anna sat before a mirror, her reflection both familiar and new. Her maid of honor, Lila, entered quietly. "You okay?" Anna nodded slowly. "Better than I expected." She laughed, a real one this time. Lila handed her a glass of water. "You were incredible." Anna looked at her reflection. The veil was slightly off-center, her mascara smudged at the edges, but she had never felt more beautiful. "It's strange," she said, "how it only takes one person to poison a moment, and one decision to take it back." Lila sat beside her, squeezing her hand. The chaos had passed, but the memory remained. Anna would always remember that she didn't freeze, didn't crumble. She had acted, and that action rewrote everything. Later in the garden reception, laughter returned, this time without mockery. Children danced on the grass, older guests sipped wine, and string lights flickered under the setting sun. David held Anna close during their first dance, their bodies swaying with quiet harmony. Around them, the world blurred. It wasn't perfect. There had been disruption, hurt, but the beauty was real. Anna's brother approached with a wink. "Didn't think you had it in you," he said. She smiled. "Neither did I." The DJ shifted to a faster track, and guests filled the floor. Anna spun, her dress catching the breeze. Her past hadn't disappeared, but it no longer controlled her. The future, for the first time, felt fully hers. After the wedding, the quiet of the hotel suite wrapped around Anna like a soft cocoon. She sat barefoot on the edge of the bed, still in her gown, bouquet tossed to one side. David was in the shower, steam hissing in the distance. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Mia. Hope the drama was worth it. Guess the spotlight really mattered more than family. Anna stared at the words, emotion boiling beneath her skin. There was no apology, only deflection. She knew Mia too well. This wasn't remorse. It was manipulation. David walked out, towel around his shoulders. "You okay?" he asked gently. Anna nodded, phone in hand. "She still thinks I ruined something." He sat beside her. "You didn't. You took it back." The words sank deep. For years, Anna had let Mia's passive cruelty slide. But no more. Not tonight. Not ever again. The next morning, headlines about the wedding circulated online, not tabloid gossip, but guests' posts filled with praise. "Most powerful moment I've witnessed," one caption read beneath a photo of Anna at the altar. Support flooded in. Friends messaged privately, sharing how inspired they felt. Anna scrolled, equal parts overwhelmed and affirmed. But among the posts, Mia's status stood out. Some brides need to make everything about themselves. A few likes. No comments. The difference was stark. Anna realized then, silence was no longer protecting her cousin. It was isolating her. She wasn't the center of anything anymore. Anna shut off the screen and turned to David. "Let's get out of here. No phones, no posts, just us." He smiled. Perfect. That morning, freedom tasted like coffee and fresh air, not revenge. Anna didn't need the last word. She already had the final chapter. 3 days later, Anna sat with her mother at the old family cafe, a place filled with nostalgia and stories. Her mother stirred her tea slowly, eyes clouded with concern. "I never wanted this between you and Mia," she said softly. Anna nodded. "I know, but it's been between us for years." Her mother hesitated. "I let too much slide. I thought if you kept peace, things would work out." Anna met her gaze. "I kept peace for everyone but me." There was no bitterness in her voice, just clarity. Her mother reached out, squeezing her hand. "I'm proud of you. I wish I'd stood up for you more." The words settled deep, healing wounds that had long festered in silence. For the first time, Anna didn't feel like she had to justify her strength. She had simply stepped into it and stayed. Later that evening, Anna revisited an old photo album. Page after page of birthdays, holidays, and events showed smiles that never reached her eyes. Mia was always nearby, laughing the loudest, taking center frame. Anna's smiles were smaller, quieter. She traced a photo with her finger. Her 18th birthday, Mia in the foreground blowing out candles not hers. A subtle theft. 1,000 little erasures. It hadn't started with the wedding. It had just ended there. David walked in, sat beside her, and watched. "You can toss it," he said. Anna shook her head. "No, I want to remember. Not because I miss it, but because I finally see it for what it was." David nodded. "Then let's turn the page." And with that, she closed the book. That weekend, Anna joined her friends for brunch, the first since the wedding. Lila raised her glass. "To the bravest bride I've ever known." The table clinked in agreement. Anna laughed, cheeks flushed. "I didn't feel brave," she said. "Just done." One friend leaned in. "Sometimes, dawn is the start of brave." The group smiled. It wasn't just celebration. It was recognition. They had seen the fallout, the courage, and the choice. Not everyone approved, but the people who mattered understood. Anna looked around and saw not just support, but a life reshaped. One where she didn't need to dim to keep peace. She wasn't just the girl who stood up to her cousin. She was the woman who reclaimed herself. Why? And that was worth every second. A week later, Anna received a formal invitation, not to a celebration, but a confrontation. Mia had requested a family mediation at their grandmother's house. The message, passed through Anna's aunt, felt rehearsed. She wants to clear the air, her aunt had said. David was skeptical. You owe her nothing. But Anna wasn't going for Mia. She was going for herself. For closure. The day arrived with gray clouds and tension. As she stepped into her grandmother's parlor, the scent of old furniture and jasmine lingered. Mia sat on the edge of a chair, arms folded, expression unreadable. So, she said flatly, you really threw me out of your wedding. Anna sat across from her, spine straight. No, she replied calmly. I asked you to leave the moment you made my joy your joke. The room went silent. Mia looked away first. Mia scoffed. You think I did it on purpose? Anna tilted her head. I don't think, I know. Her voice wasn't loud, but it struck. Mia shifted, uncomfortable. You've always taken everything so seriously. Anna's brow lifted. You mean everything you make a joke of? Mia stood up abruptly. You always wanted to be the good one. I was just the one who said things out loud. Anna remained seated. And I finally did. Their grandmother, silent until now, gently interjected. Girls, this feud is tearing apart, more than just you. Anna turned toward her. This isn't a feud, it's a boundary, one that should have been drawn years ago. Mia opened her mouth to respond, but nothing came. The weight of truth had fallen too heavy. After the confrontation, Anna stepped outside into the overcast garden behind the house. The air was cool, the ground damp. She walked slowly among the trimmed hedges, letting the silence settle her. Her grandmother joined her minutes later, walking softly beside her. You did what I never could, she said gently. And what your mother was too afraid to. Anna looked at her, surprised. You knew it was like this. The old woman smiled sadly. Of course, we all did. But we told ourselves it was family. That family meant tolerating everything. Anna exhaled. I don't want that for the next generation. Her grandmother nodded. Then maybe today, it ends with you. The clouds parted just enough for a sliver of sunlight to land on Anna's shoulder. It felt like permission. That evening, Anna and David hosted a small dinner for close friends. The house was filled with laughter, genuine, unrushed. No tension hid in the corners. Anna moved between the kitchen and table, barefoot, relaxed. As she poured wine, Lila asked, So, what now with Mia? Anna thought for a moment. Nothing, she said simply. I've said what I needed to. She gets to decide what she does next. David raised a toast. To boundaries and beginnings. Glasses clinked. The dining room was warm, full of golden light and quiet music. No part of Anna missed the drama. Her life, once so tangled in navigating other people's moods, was slowly becoming her own. That night, she slept without dreams. And without weight. The next day, Anna opened a blank journal. The first page read, This is where I stop apologizing for taking up space. She didn't write anything else that morning, just stared at the words, letting them imprint. She thought of Mia, of her younger self, of all the years she let things slide for the sake of peace. But she also thought of the aisle, the silence, the moment she took it all back. She smiled, closed the journal, and stood up. Life wouldn't always be loud. Sometimes reclaiming peace didn't look like victory. It looked like stillness. And in that stillness she finally felt whole. The war was never hers to fight. But the healing, that belonged to her entirely. 2 weeks after the wedding, Anna returned to the town hall to pick up her official marriage certificate. As she waited in line, she spotted a familiar figure across the lobby, Mia, speaking to a clerk, clearly agitated. For a moment, Their eyes met. No words were exchanged. Mia looked away first. It wasn't dramatic, no scene, no lingering glares. Just a passing between two versions of the past. Anna realized something in that silence. She no longer needed closure. Not every wound required a speech. Some people wouldn't apologize. And that was okay. She smiled, almost to herself, as her name was called. As she took the certificate in hand, it felt heavier than expected, not in weight but in meaning. This wasn't just paper. It was proof that her life was now defined by choice, not reaction. That night, Anna sat with David in their living room, certificate framed and resting on the table. "You sure you don't want to send a message back?" David asked. Anna shook her head. "Let silence be the message." He nodded, pulling her close. "You're different now." She smiled. "No, I just finally stopped pretending I wasn't." The fire crackled gently beside them, filling the quiet with warmth. Anna ran her fingers along the frame. She wasn't waiting for the next conflict. She wasn't anticipating Mia's next move. She had stepped out of that loop. For good. Her energy now went into building, not defending. And in the comfort of that small living room, Anna felt something profound, not happiness, not victory but sovereignty. Her peace wasn't just won. It was chosen. Days later, Anna received a letter, handwritten, no return address. She recognized the script instantly. "Mia died." The letter wasn't long. "Maybe you were right. Or maybe I was just tired of watching you win." It wasn't an apology. It was a crack. A small imperfect fracture in the wall Mia had built. Anna read it twice, then folded it gently and placed it in a drawer. She didn't rush to respond. She didn't feel the urgency to explain her feelings. Not anymore. People grow when they're ready. And sometimes, growth isn't loud. Sometimes it starts as a sentence someone didn't expect to write. Anna returned to her day, placing the letter beside old photographs, a past she'd stopped rewriting and finally learned to archive. At the next family gathering, Anna arrived late on purpose. She walked in wearing a soft smile and a quiet confidence. Some heads turned, some murmurs passed, but no one mentioned the wedding. Not directly. Her aunt gave a forced hug, her uncle a pat on the back. But it was her younger cousin, barely 15, who said, "I heard what happened. That was brave." Anna looked at her, a girl still learning when to speak and when to stay quiet. "Thanks," she said gently. "You don't always have to be the quiet one." The girl smiled, eyes wide with understanding. And just like that, Anna knew the impact wasn't just about a wedding. It was about who might walk braver paths after her, because she had dared to stop walking in circles. As Anna and David drove home that evening, city lights blurred outside the car windows. Music played low, familiar, like a heartbeat. Anna leaned her head against the glass, eyes half closed. "Do you regret it?" David asked. She didn't answer right away. "No," she said finally. "I regret not doing it sooner." The roads stretched out ahead, open, quiet. She reached for David's hand across the console, their fingers interlocking. They didn't speak for the rest of the ride. They didn't need to. The silence wasn't heavy anymore. It was calm. It was freedom. And as the city lights faded behind them, Anna knew one truth without question. The road forward was finally hers. 3 weeks after the wedding, Mia showed up uninvited at Anna's doorstep. No call. No warning. Just a knock and a shadow behind the frosted glass. Anna opened the door slowly, tension creeping in. "Can we talk?" Mia asked, voice subdued. She looked different, not broken, but bruised in pride. Anna hesitated. "I'm not here to fight," Mia added. I keep replaying that moment." Anna stepped aside silently. Inside, the air was thick with memory. Mia looked around as if unfamiliar with the calm. "I didn't think you'd actually kick me out," she said, almost laughing. But no sound came. Anna didn't smile. "I didn't think I'd have to." There it was again. The space between them, years wide. But this time, there was no audience, no pressure to pretend. Just two women, and what remained. They sat across from each other in the kitchen, coffee cooling untouched. "You always made me feel like I was too much," Mia said finally. "And you always made me feel like I wasn't enough," Anna replied. Their voices were steady, stripped of anger. It wasn't about vengeance now. It was about truth. "You were always the favorite," Mia muttered. "You were the loudest," Anna said. "So I faded." Mia looked down. "I didn't know you hated me." "I didn't," Anna said quietly. "I just stopped trusting you." The silence that followed was heavier than any argument. It was the space where blame had lived, and was now finally dying. "I didn't mean to ruin your wedding," Mia whispered. "But I was jealous. You had something real, and I didn't know how to handle that." Anna leaned back, fingers wrapped around her cup. "You could have told me that before mocking my vows." Mia's eyes welled up. "I know. It's like I don't know how to stop hurting people before they can hurt me." The admission sat raw between them. Anna's voice didn't waver. "You don't get to use that anymore. You've had years to learn better." Mia nodded slowly. "You're right." And it was the first time she'd ever said it without a fight. Anna stood, pacing softly. "I'm not angry anymore. But I'm not the same either. I won't let you close if you're still carrying knives." Mia swallowed hard. "So that's it." Anna paused. "It's not an ending, but it's not the beginning you want. Not yet." And in those words, a quiet boundary was drawn, final, but still open. Before leaving, Mia stood in the doorway once more. "You were brave," she said, voice almost cracked. "I hated it. But you were." Anna nodded, no triumph in her eyes, only resolve. "Bravery isn't loud. It's not kicking someone out mid-vows. It's choosing not to disappear when it would be easier to shrink." Mia opened the door slowly. "Do you think we'll ever be okay again?" Anna's gaze softened, but her voice stayed firm. "Only if okay doesn't mean pretending anymore." Mia stepped outside. The door closed gently behind her. No slam. No finality. Just a quiet goodbye to what they used to be. For the first time, Anna didn't feel the need to check the lock. After Mia left, Anna sat in silence. Not the hollow kind, the kind that follows storms. The kind that invites peace. David walked in, sensing the emotional weight. "Bah. You okay?" She nodded. "I think I finally finished something that's been chasing me for years." He kissed the top of her head. "You did more than that. You didn't just end it, you broke the cycle." Anna smiled softly. She looked out the window, clouds parting gently overhead. It felt like a page turning. No dramatic music. No applause. Just peace. The kind that isn't earned once, but chosen every day. And from here forward, Anna wasn't choosing silence. She was choosing herself. A month had passed since the wedding. The chaos had quieted, but Anna's world had grown sharper. Clearer. She now woke without bracing for impact. One Saturday morning, while sipping tea by the garden window, she received a message from her cousin Ella, Mia's younger sister. It simply read, "Thank you. You made things easier for the rest of us." Anna reread it 3 times. A soft ache settled in her chest. It hadn't occurred to her how long Mia's shadow had fallen on others too. That by drawing her boundary, she might have cleared a path for someone else. It wasn't glory. It was grace. Quiet, simple, and lasting. She replied, "I didn't mean to lead. I just didn't want to follow anymore." And with that, the cycle had not only broken, it had shifted. Later that week, Anna visited her mother's house. The living room still smelled of rosewood and lavender, scents from a life that never changed. They talked over coffee, legs curled on the couch like old times. "You seem different," her mother observed. "I am," Anna said. "Not harder, just more, here." Her mother nodded, a mix of pride and guilt in her eyes. "I should have done more." Anna smiled gently. Maybe. But I needed to do this for myself anyway. The TV played softly in the background. For once, they didn't fill the silence with small talk. They let it breathe. Let it heal. And as the sun sank through the blinds, Anna leaned against her mother's shoulder. She didn't need to win anything. She just needed to exist. Fully, unapologetically. A few days later, Anna and David returned to the cathedral, not for a ceremony, but for a quiet moment together. The doors creaked open just like before, the space echoing with remembered emotion. They stood at the altar, hands intertwined. Still feels sacred, David whispered. Anna nodded. It is, not because of the vows, but because of the choice to continue. She touched the floor where she'd once paused in rage and pain. Now, it held no echo, no bitterness, just memory. They sat in the empty pews, letting the silence fold around them. The world outside kept moving, but in here, it was still. Anna didn't need to rewrite the moment. She had already redefined it. Back home, Anna sat at her desk, staring at her journal again. Pages filled with thoughts, boundaries, lessons. She flipped to a fresh page. You don't owe anyone your silence. She wrote it slowly, deliberately. Her wedding day had been imperfect, disrupted, but it had also become the exact turning point she needed. The moment the quiet girl everyone overlooked became the woman who no longer accepted being the punchline. She wasn't seeking revenge. She wasn't seeking validation. She had found something rarer, clarity. In every word she had spoken, every action she had taken, there was one unshakable truth. She had finally chosen herself. On the final page of the journal, Anna wrote just one line. I am not waiting for peace anymore. I am becoming it. She closed the book and stepped outside. The evening was quiet. Wind moved gently through the trees, like a breath the world had been holding. She didn't look back, didn't check her phone, didn't wonder what Mia would say next. The story had ended, not with a scream or a bang, but with a calm, steady heartbeat. Hers. Anna walked forward, barefoot on the grass, each step lighter than the last. No apologies. No explanations. Just peace. The kind that stays because it was never borrowed. It was always hers.